So if I am finding the inverse function, I'm going to start by writing it instead of function notation f of x. I'm going to switch it to y equals. And then we do what? Switch all your x's and y's. So that becomes x cube root of y minus 5. Once you've made that change, that's the idea, like you're switching your inputs, outputs, range and domain, flip-flop, what do? Now you get y by itself again. So what do? We'll cube both sides, the undoing exponent. So this is x cubed. We are not taking away an even exponent, so you don't worry about plus or minus here. It's last step. Add 5 on both sides. And so I end up with y equals x cubed plus 5, which if I was going to write it in inverse notation, f inverse of x equals x cubed plus 5. Now on the exam, there are ways for you guys to test that. You could plug in some numbers and make sure it all flip-flops. Can anybody tell me right now why this one is more difficult?
2 x's.
There are 2 x's in the problem, which means we'll end up with 2 y's. And for whatever reason, you got. If I let you go right now, probably 5 of you could solve it. It's not a terribly difficult problem, but it's just for some reason there's a little breakdown in the algebraic skill. So pay attention when we're going through it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll flip-flop all x's and y's. This y becomes an x, that x becomes a y, and that x becomes a y. What would you do first? Do the y plus 2. Now, when somebody does something algebraically, that doesn't mean that's what you would do first, But what this does, though, is it eliminates the denominator there. And I am going to distribute over here. So I have y times x plus 2x is equal to y minus 4. Plus 4? Okay, are you hearing people shout things out right now? This is where the problem does break down. No. What are we solving for? Y. So, in math, when you have a variable that you're solving for, how many terms right now contain a y? How many terms? 2 terms. There's one here, and there's one here, and that's what makes it more difficult. So what I need you to remember, when you're solving for a variable and there's more than one in the problem, get all of those terms to one side. So we're going to subtract 2x, and we're going to subtract the y. So in other words, I'm taking the 2x to that side, I'm bringing the y back to this side. So I have y, x minus y is equal to -4 minus 2x. Now what would you do? No. No. So Maybe I go down. You know, I said 5 of you get it earlier. Maybe 2 or 1. Maybe. I bring all the terms that contain the y to this side. I'm doing that because now I can factor a y out. Now what would you do? Get rid of the x minus 1 by dividing by x minus 1 on both sides. And so my inverse function is negative 4 minus 2x all over x minus 1. And both of these problems that we just got done doing, finding the inverse, it was not asking us to verify our results. Anytime you find an inverse, you should really verify it, but we don't always ask you to verify it. So, but for practice, if you guys are looking to practice, that one's a nice difficult one because there are x's in a couple spots. You can practice it. We're done.